Hey beauty, welcome back to the show. This is the second part of a two-part episode with Heidi Toy, a functional medicine practitioner. I remember when I saw a functional medicine practitioner back in 2018, I was just having horrible brain fog, and I was just having really a lot of skin issues, and I asked the practitioner if she thought I would get better, and she said, "Yes, I believe that you will." And I just felt so encouraged by her saying that. So I hope that you will be encouraged by this show, because Heidi is sharing some health success stories. They're just really amazing. So I hope that you will be encouraged by the stories that you hear. But I just want to be clear that, as I've stated before, I believe that true healing comes from God. God is our healer. I hope that you will also be encouraged with this, the fact that the creator of the heavens and the earth is on your side. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. It doesn't matter what the test results say. It doesn't matter how you feel or what your circumstances are like. It doesn't matter what the doctors say or the statistics. The creator of heaven and earth is on your side. So there is always hope for you. I just want to say that to you. And I also wanted to remind you of my free Facebook group. So if you're interested, go to facebook.com/group/her holistic healing. I would love to meet you, pray with you, encourage you. We can share health tips, network with each other. If you're interested, go to that Facebook group. I would love to meet you. Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. Do you want more energy and less anxiety so that you can do all the things? Are you searching for meal ideas, essential oils, and other holistic treatments? Do you wish you could know which direction to take with your health so that you could finally feel better? Hey, I'm Alexandra. I love Jesus. I'm a wife, mom of 3, and registered nurse with years of experience in clinical research. I also wanted more energy so that I could have more fun and keep up with my growing child. I too was confused about all the different diet and treatment options. I too wanted to wake up every day and feel good, but I felt anxious because I couldn't solve the mystery of my health. Until God showed me that He is the source of true healing. In this podcast, you will learn holistic treatments and Bible truths that will lead you to the peace, joy, and freedom that you have been hoping for. So what do you say we take a break from the mind-numbing humdrum busyness? Let's rest and let God be our healer and helper. Can you share some health success stories with us?
Let's see, I'm going to talk one about a woman who came to see me recently, 31 years old. She came with bloating, belching after meals, tenderness to the touch and various locations throughout her body. For example, the outside of her thighs were just tender to the touch. In fact, she told me that after she'd healed, that she hadn't even realized that this part of her body was hurting. She knew it was hurting, but that it had gotten better until her husband bumped her, and he knew not to bump her, and said, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry." And she's like, "Oh my goodness, that didn't even hurt." She had unexplained weight gain, bouts of diarrhea, joint pain, and she was easily injured with sports. And so then again, when I, at least my work that I do, every functional medicine practitioner might work different because we all too are bio individuals, right? And how we work. When I looked at her data, then the symptoms are very important to the client, and the symptoms are very important to me as well. But I want to feed those into a body system. And so then I looked at where her body systems were imbalanced, and it lined up with digestion, which would be her GI health, because the body systems, remember, are gastrointestinal, detox, and neuroendocrine. So her digestion would be GI health, which would be therefore affecting everything. Her adrenals, which are the fatigue and the neuroendocrine. Blood sugar handling or imbalance, which would also be neuroendocrine. Fatty acid, which is neuroendocrine, GI health, and that's actually, fatty acids are going to be like when people tell you to take omega fatty acids, but we have omega-3, which are like fish oil, but we also need omega-6 because that's going to be pro-inflammatory. And even though people don't want to be inflamed, it's part of the healing process. So we need both omega-3 and 6. But she had an imbalance there. And of course, if we can't digest and break down fat, then we might be taking a fatty acid supplement, an omega-3, a fish oil supplement, but if we're not properly breaking it down and digesting, so that would jump back up to the digestion. And then she also had a mineral need, which many people don't realize, but minerals are the spark plugs of life. And all of our endocrine system is made out of minerals. So like people know that or most people know that you have T4, thyroid hormone is called T4. Well, that stands for 4 iodine molecules. But then it needs to circulate the body and drop an iodine molecule to become T3. And it does that through the gut and a healthy liver, but with the adjunct of more minerals. So minerals are oftentimes called the spark plugs of life. So I could also see that she was mineral deficient. Now, at this point in time, we'd run no testing. I wished I could show you the graphs for her because I graph everybody out that comes to see me so that they too can see that I take these body systems and I further break them down from the 3 that I'm talking about, gastrointestinal, detox, and neuroendocrine, and I get more granular with them and break them down into 16 more subcategories. And then I chart out, based on the person's symptoms, what body system that symptom is placing a burden on, so that the patient can actually see, this is my graph. And then as they work, I have them several times throughout our work continuously answer those 321 multiple choice questions. And I continuously plot that out for them so they can see what's adjusting and changing. And then I can show them that because they can see their work in real time. They can feel it. And that plot, that it's subjective, but that graph, that plot is coming directly from their questions, answers to their questions. And then they are feeling better and we can see it. But if we can't, we can quickly also assess, why are they not feeling better, or what's going on? If they're working the program, then what's going on? What are we missing? And I'm human. We miss things sometimes, and then we have to redirect. Or we might start healing and something might crop up. So nonetheless, this woman that came to see me, and she actually came through my Energy RX program and did some one-on-one work with me and ran some tests after. But if I could show you the graph, like her numbers came down by half, but that's directly tied to her symptoms. Like she lost 20 pounds in 10 weeks. And she was working out and trying to do all this stuff before and thought, working out and thought she was eating healthy. We changed her diet. We got her digesting. We ran a hair mineral test. She's now run a GI map test to look at her gut, and we're healing her. I'm not healing her. I'm not the healer. Her body is healing itself. She's just been given the right environment and tools to do so. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. And sometimes we get off track and we have to pull ourselves back on track. And that's with our physical life, our spiritual life as well. But in this case, our physical life. And I guess it's tied to spiritual because I have a huge spiritual component to what my work is as well. I oftentimes help people, whether it's, if people are open and I can talk to them about the Lord, then I will talk to them about prayer, but also mindfulness-based stress reduction. And so however they arrive at that, some people aren't going to be having a prayer life because that's their choice, but they get into mindfulness-based stress reduction. So that's one person. Another person that came, I've seen so many, I could tell you many stories, but this is a man, and he came to see me in 2018. His name is Dennis. I'm not going to share his last name, so I'm not breaking anything with HIPAA, but his name is Dennis, and he had type 2 diabetes. He was controlling it without insulin, but he wasn't exactly on the right diet for him. And his A1C numbers would continuously stay high despite the fact that we turned his diet around. And I absolutely 100%, but the reason why he really came to me wasn't diabetes. They were going to amputate both his legs. And I need to write this up and put it on my website as a case study, because I have the pictures of what his legs looked like and then what they look like now from 2018 till now. So, a few years have gone by, but he still sees me, but not as frequently as he did. But we saved his legs. Dennis rides a motorcycle and he's in his 80s. And he has
He's in his
full life.
80s?
Yes,
Wow.
he's 81 years old, and they moved from Wisconsin to Tennessee recently, but all of the people who meet him, they can't believe that he's in his 80s. And we found out that he had a parasite, and I just knew he had a parasite. It was absolutely, I knew he had to have H. pylori and they trusted me enough to run this test. The first time it came back negative, I think it was the third time, and it finally showed up, but he had all the symptoms. But parasites and H. pylori and these things can also hide within the folds of the gut. And that's why I also don't just jump right away to testing. Sometimes I want to work with people and get their diet and their digestion working properly, because if you're not digesting your food properly, I've already stated this, it's toxic, but the toxicity can be inflammatory. Carbohydrates can ferment, fats rancidify, and proteins putrefy. And if that's happening in the gut, then that's toxic sludge. Even if you're eating the perfect diet, if you're not digesting. And then parasites, and I again wished I could draw this out for you, but I'll use my hand. So the microvilli, if they're tall and proud the way they should be, and we're digesting, and if you think about a forest that's tall and lush and green and everything's growing up, and then all of a sudden, if there's problems for whatever reason, and let's say in this case I'm talking that we're not digesting, it's like a blowtorch, and it will take and mow the microvilli down. Okay, and then they will be mowed down, but the reciprocal of the microvilli are these crypts. And then if you think about an arid desert, now the crypts are getting deep and there's no forest on top to protect the land. So this is called hypercryptoplasia. And then over the top of all these crypts is this mucus, and it's called a submucosal plug. And then parasites will hide down here. So let's just say you walked into my office right away today, and some people come into my office on the first time, and they go, that's what they call me for. I want this GI map test. And I'll be like, okay, let's first look at all the data and see, and then I'll get them on a different diet and get them digesting, and then maybe take and not run the GI map test for 6 weeks for them. Why? Because it is an expensive test. And if you walk in and pay for this expensive test and it comes back normal, you're not going to want to run it again. Now, in the case of Dennis, we had to do more healing and more healing. What's the point with the hypercryptoplasia? Well, if the parasites hide here and then I take a sample, I'm not going to find that parasite or what's going on. So I need to heal. And as we heal, we grow back up the microvilli, and then the crypts, they get shallow, and then the bugs are forced to come out. So that's the story. So Dennis, he saved his legs. I could tell you 1,000 stories, but I have another person. I call her Jane example when somebody talks to me on a Zoom call, but if I'm showing them something, but her real name is Stephanie. She was 46 years old, and she came to me with full body hives. She would break out in hives from head to toe. And again, her number one thing again was her diet and her digestion, because the hives is like a mast cell activation syndrome, but mast cell activation syndrome doesn't just happen on its own. Mast cell activation syndrome usually happens because of Lyme, again, H. pylori, gut dysbiosis, candida. So again, somebody might have mast cell activation syndrome, that's a histamine reaction from food you're eating. But the question is, why did that happen? And again, that is in the gut. So the same person that I'm talking about, we healed her gut. And again, if I could show you the squiggly line graph, it all goes down, so changes. So that's 3 examples, I guess.
Yeah, those are really amazing examples. What did Dennis, what did his legs look like?
Well, pale white and blotchy red oozing sores
Oh
that were
man.
like the size of plates
Uh-huh.
up
Wow.
up and down his legs and thighs and feet. And
That's
it was,
amazing.
yeah, I mean, scaly and itchy
Uh-huh.
and oozing and
Oh,
pus and blood. And I mean, and really, they didn't really give him a reason of why he had them. I'm not saying that
right.
this is diabetic neuropathy. I mean, he did have diabetes, but he had that under control. Those sores were really coming from his gut.
So were they saying, what were the doctors saying it was from? Do you know?
They really didn't. It was idiopathic to them. They really didn't have a
Okay.
reason why. They just
Wow.
said that if it doesn't go away, we have no other alternative except for to start to amputate, to take them away.
Wow. I'm so glad that he's better and he's riding his
Yes, me too.
motorcycle.
Yes. I mean, and his wife was a huge part of this as well, and she sees me as well. I mean, and she didn't realize that she had rheumatoid arthritis, but she had swollen knuckles and everything else. And again, they ate I mean, this was an affluent couple. I mean, educated, affluent. They originally from Chicago, then they lived here, now they live in Tennessee. I mean, Dennis, I think, speaks like 2 or 3, I know 2, maybe 3 different languages. So they came to me already eating, if you will, a fairly decent, healthy diet. But he had GI issues. And you can bring me the most unadulterated, perfect diet, but if you're not digesting it, you cannot digest it if you have gut dysbiosis, or you're lacking the enzymes to break down your food, or you have a parasite, or you have candida, which he also had. He had a fungal overgrowth. And so he also had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So he had H. pylori, SIBO, candida, leaky gut. I mean, the whole bit. And when I say the whole bit, I'm saying that's a lot going on in the gut. And it takes some time to heal that, because there's not just one magic protocol to heal that. It's knowing how to prioritize it, and then helping them walk through that. Because if Dennis is 81 now, what was he like in his late 70s at the time? We're also asking a man in his late 70s to change his diet, his sleep, his lifestyle. I mean, everything. His lifestyle had to change.
Right. I didn't even think about that he's an older gentleman and yet he's healing from all these things. That's really amazing. Well, Heidi, this was super helpful, and it's just, I love hearing these stories about people that are healing in these ways. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me at Heidi Toy Functional Medicine, and I am on social media, all the regular social medias, I guess. Pinterest is kind of a search engine, but also Instagram, Facebook. You can also visit me at my website. I have a lot of free things that you can do. I have a free masterclass that you can take on how to assess your own body systems, and I give you a downloadable document that you can fill out and ask some questions and then tally them up, and I walk through how you do all that and what it means, and then things to actually you can start doing yourself and address it. And if you take the master class and you do it, you'll see change. It does work. So my website, I have blog posts, I have email series that you can get on, like adrenals and keto and cooking and batch pressing. And I'm just trying to think off the top of my head that's freebies for people so that they can start getting help if they're not in the position right now to get a functional medicine practitioner. And then if you are, I would love to see you. And I'd like to also love to see you in my Energy RX. I have it for both females and males. And it's a great way to start functional medicine in a cost-effective way. And you can learn all about that at Heidi Toy Functional Medicine.
I'm so glad that you took the time to listen today. If you like what you heard, will you leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that this show can reach more people? And if you want to connect with me, go to herholistichealing.com. Before you go, I want to leave you with one of my favorite passages from Matthew 29. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you, it's easy and my burden is light.